look at some of these charts.
I'd love to.
We're going to look.
Let's look.
And if you look at death,
started to go up again.
One. Well, right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than the world?
Lower than
what is that?
Europe.
In what?
Look.
In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad.
Well,
much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
You can't do that. You have
Why
to go,
can't I do that?
You have to go by where. Look, here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. The cases.
Why not as a proportion of population?
When we have somebody. What it says is when you have somebody that has where there's a case, the people that live from those cases.
It's surely a relevant statistic to say if the US has X population and X percentage of death of that population versus South Korea.
No, you have to go by the cases.
1,000 Americans are dying a day, but I understand on cases it's different.
No, but you're not reporting it correctly, Jonathan.
I think I am, but
if you take a look at this other chart, look. This is our testing, I believe. This is the testing, Yeah,
we do more tests.
No, wait a minute. Well, don't we get credit for that?
If hospital rates were going down and deaths were going down, I'd say terrific. You deserve to be praised for testing, but they're all going up.
They very rarely talk.
60,000 Americans are in hospital.
If you watch the news or read the papers, they usually talk about new cases, new cases, new cases.
I'm talking about death.
Well, you look at death. Death is way down from where it was.
Look, that was humiliating, terrifying, darkly hilarious, and obviously an unmitigated disaster for the Trump campaign, whose allies are now trying to downplay the significance of the interview, which is going viral. In that interview, Trump addressed other topics, many other topics, which were outrageous in themselves. When asked to remember John Lewis, he said first, well, he didn't come to my inauguration. He also doubled down on wishing Jeffrey Epstein, co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, well. He kept pushing that point, but it all pales in comparison to his attempts to bully Jonathan Swan, the Axios reporter there, into relaying more flattering coronavirus statistics. Because that's really what the people around Trump do all the time. And so he couldn't comprehend that a reporter was badgering him in a good way with more accurate stats when it comes to the United States cases. I mean, listen to the callousness with which he talked about people dying. He wanted to only focus on the fact that it was going down. But what about the thousands of people, over 100,000 Americans who have died of COVID-19? Has he ever once expressed remorse? I don't remember. Any sadness that wasn't dryly read off a teleprompter, which he struggles to do anyway. Has he ever said, this is so sad, this is a national tragedy that this is happening? No, not once. Not once. All he does is downplay the deaths, downplay the statistics. And when he was cornered there, he couldn't comprehend the concept of per capita, which was what was being discussed, because all he does is see the presidency through the lens of marketing himself and the people, the very limited number of people around him because they're in relation to him. Well, it's all a marketing campaign, which is why he wanted to focus on the statistics that make him look better as opposed to addressing the root causes of it there. So, per capita, Trump, you're both a narcissist and you're also too stupid to understand it, so let's break it down for you. According to Johns Hopkins University data, as of Tuesday, the U.S. was the 10th worst nation in terms of per capita coronavirus deaths, with 47.50 per 100,000 people. The metric, known as the mortality rate, reflects how many people are dying with COVID-19 as a proportion of a country's population. When asked about this way of measuring the impact of the pandemic, Trump was dismissive. "You can't do that," he said. In essence, Trump wanted to discuss the case fatality rate, the proportion of known cases that end in death. The U.S. case fatality rate has improved since the pandemic was in its first peak in April and May. At 3.3%, it's slightly better than global average according to the statistics site Our World in Data. The problem with the case fatality rate, however, is that it can vary based on the testing in any given country. The more mild cases a country finds, the lower the number will appear. Countries that test only people showing symptoms are likely to have a higher death rate, since more of those infections are likely to prove fatal. While there are also difficulties obtaining reliable death data, the per capita metric is thought to be less affected by such inconsistencies. Which is why Trump is pushing for the more inconsistent data point. I mean, again, this interview is remarkable. Arguably the best interview that has been done since Trump's been president. I don't know if I'd go that far, but in terms of revealing his narcissism, which is only amplified by his failures with the economy, with the death rate, with the entire pandemic response, with Black Lives Matter, with everything. In terms of revealing his narcissism, it was very clear there. The attempts to dismiss more accurate data that reflects badly on him and focus on misleading data, and trying to bully a reporter into showing that. And he wasn't having it there. So I must emphasize, Trump's a narcissist, but he's also very stupid. So not only did he want to push data that was more helpful to him, he doesn't understand the data that is not helpful to him, because that doesn't penetrate his mind. Because his mind is only consumed by his narcissism, and that's it. There's nothing else there, guys.